All right, good evening, everybody. This is Adam with the National Weather Service in Peachtree City. Thanks again. I know it's been a long day for everybody, so we'll get to it. The latest information here from the National Hurricane Center now has Hurricane Michael as a Category 3, so that is by definition a major hurricane now with sustained winds of 120 miles per hour. And it is actually, based on their discussion, they do expect it to have some continued strengthening again overnight. So it could actually reach a low Category 4 by landfall later on tomorrow, just near Panama City. So we'll keep things updated here right now, but it should be a high-end Cat 3, possibly a low Cat 4 for landfall. The concerns for our area still are about the same. We think significant wind and rain impacts, especially for central Georgia. We haven't seen much of a change in that track, but if we do, any shift to the west would, of course, increase those impacts for more parts of our area. So further detail here, it's about 250 miles south of Panama City right now, which is about 400 to 450 miles south of Columbus, Georgia. It's moving north at about 12 miles per hour. And like I said, it could actually strengthen a little bit more overnight here. And with this latest satellite view, you can actually see what was pretty much an eye collapse has started to get a little bit better reform. And a lot of times that is indicative of some strengthening. You'll get a collapse and then start to get circular again around that center. So it is very impressive on satellite here. What did we do with our watches and warnings? Well, since the afternoon package, we actually ended up upgrading the tropical storm watches to a tropical storm warning, mainly south from Columbus to Macon and just east of there. We held on to the hurricane watch for the area that was in the extreme south central area, just because there's still some question with the intensity with the winds. So that could be upgraded with future packages, but for now, we still have a hurricane watch for that area. Neither of these areas were expanded any farther northward from what we had before, so we still think the track is going to be very similar to that. The duration, again, we're still looking at the tropical storm warning and hurricane watch to go through Thursday morning. You can expect in that area wind gusts up to 60 miles per hour, and also anything that's to the right of that track. So really from Americus to Dublin and south and east of there, that's going to be your greatest chance for any weak, brief tornado spin-ups too. So within some of the bands, even ahead of the storm, we could be watching for something like that. The impacts mainly are going to be the strong winds, and so we do expect some downed trees and power lines and possibly even minor structural damage in those areas. The flood watch on the right, again, is no change to where the actual expanse was with that. Again, that's through Thursday afternoon. Widespread rainfall 3 to 5 inches, locally higher 6 to 7, possibly 8. That could be farther on the easternmost extreme of that. So localized flash flooding will be possible. I know we've been dry, but when you get amounts like that, it really doesn't matter about what the previous conditions were. That's pretty heavy rainfall. Okay, so what's changed here? Nothing with the threat levels on the left. We still focus on winds and flooding as the main two. And then, like I mentioned about the tornado spin-ups, that's still as previous level as before. But the confidence has increased slightly. So now we're approaching the very confident. We're getting within about 24 hours of the event here. So I don't think that's going to deviate much as far as going to the left on the lower confidence side at this point. The latest max wind gust forecast, here's just to show you where the basically east of the I-85 corridor, you can expect higher than 30 mile per hour gusts. And then the area in the watch and warning zone, that 35 to possibly up to 60 miles per hour. The winds like that will be bringing down trees and power lines, so we do expect that to be an issue for that portion of central Georgia. Okay, so here's the updated wind timing and intensity charts. So you'll have the recorded version of this and the slides online. So of course, if anyone has questions, you can ask, but this is a good reference for county by county as to the duration of impactful winds and whether you're in that 50 to 60 versus 40 plus wind zone. So some of the ones from before, the most southern counties like Crisp, Dooley, Sumter, Webster, those near the top left, those were a little bit broader than the previous ones that we showed. So it lasts a little bit longer for y'all in the overnight period tomorrow night. Expected storm total rainfall, again, isolated 6+ in that zone near Americus and Dublin, but really anywhere east of I-85, you could get 2 to 3 inches. And if we get some banding on the northern side, as this storm starts to move, to the northeast, some of that could actually be a little bit higher, even from what we're showing here going into North Georgia. But we do expect some localized flooding issues, mainly for central Georgia with this. The severe outlook on the left, this did change a little bit from before. The marginal and slight risk, which is primarily for isolated tornado, just quick spin-up tornadoes, or some of the stronger, if you get a downburst wind within a rain band too. It did go up about another tier of 1 to 2 counties to the northwest. So now it pretty much, the highest threat is shifted a little bit more, but not greatly. And the image on the right is just to show you what these bands ahead of the storm itself can actually look like. And you can get some stronger cells within that, especially if we get clearing between the rain bands, like in the late afternoon or early evening. If there's a little bit of localized heating that's behind these bands, we could get some stronger storms with it too. So I just want to make sure everybody's still on guard with that. We could be issuing some different warnings ahead of the actual center of the storm. The outlook here for the threats, again, the highest ones are going to be with the wind. So we're highlighting pretty much the timing is going to be later tomorrow and then through the overnight into Thursday morning. So that's why you see the 2 days included here. And again, the next highest threat with anything would be the heavy rain and flooding. So to sum it up, so we did upgrade the tropical storm watch to a warning, but we continued the hurricane watch just based on uncertainty. And especially if the storm does strengthen a little bit more overnight, like they're thinking, then that could potentially increase some of our winds a little bit more downstream into parts of Georgia here. So just keep tuned for any changes with that. If the track does change, if it goes a little bit more to the east, then it should be a little bit better for us. But if it goes a little bit farther west, it should be a little bit worse impacts. At this point, I'll open it up to any questions. And the next briefing will be at 12:30 in the afternoon tomorrow. And I'll make sure that everybody gets an email with this recording and then also the slides posted online.